Morbidly Beautiful presents a horror interview podcast hosted by Brodie Hubbard. You have entered the chamber.
Hey, it's Hub. This is the Morbidly Beautiful Network, and this is a special episode of Video of the Damned and the Chamber. It's the year-end best of episode. I know, it's January. It's time to say goodbye to our favorite bearded man covered in red. Not Bill Moseley. He's year-round. I meant Santa. But it's already January 2025. It is time to say goodbye to the Chamber. I'm going to be very honest with you. It is very difficult to chase down people and interview them. There's people I've scheduled who have kept pushing the date and then dropped off the face of the earth. I want to devote the little time I have left on this earth to my creative projects, and I do like doing the review shows, and Video of the Damned will stick around on a special basis. I love my relationship with Morbidly Beautiful, want to continue to put content up on the channel for them and for you, but I think the Chamber is going to close the door for the time being. But who better to help me close this chapter than an author I love, an editor I love, Kolleen Carney Hoepfner. She's a contributing editor at FANGORIA. She has done a bunch of other projects, including a book, which she talks a little bit about here, that she'll be hopefully releasing in this year. But we got together and talked about what we loved and didn't love about 2024. And so, on this special Chamber of the Damned, the best of and the rest of 2024.
So I haven't seen as many movies as you, but I have seen a lot of these movies that you have on the list.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I wanted to start off, what did you think overall? So I remember 2022 as being a banner year, and then 2023 was okay. I feel like this year there were some really good ones, but there wasn't the quantity of good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what? I feel like this was a great year for horror. I do. I'm gonna fiddle with my hair like the whole time we're on this. I hope you don't mind. I feel like this was a great year for horror. A lot of it maybe not as great, but like we were seeing things like be put out there, like when we get to talking about like the Longlegs like marketing and the Substance just being like a movie you could see at AMC. And so, like I feel like there were big swings and they were hitting each time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like there was like a surplus in a way of horror. But maybe there really wasn't, but it just feels like that because
Right.
in past years it hasn't been. Like I feel like every month there was something fun to watch. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So like
Sure.
I don't
And
know.
part of it could be personal. Like, I was dealing with so many layoffs and family illness and things like that maybe I just didn't lean into as much as
Yeah.
far as keeping track and I definitely did not go to the theaters as much. I do want to start off with one that we both saw and was one of the few that I got to see at the theater, Terrifier 3.
Okay,
So I did like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 episodes just about Terrifier 3 and the Terrifier franchise that were like clearly my most viewed content on the channel.
People love Art the Clown.
Everybody loves Art
They
the
love
Clown. And I said everybody knows I loved this movie. We probably will agree on the flaws, and the flaws
I think
didn't
we
matter.
talked a little bit about it before.
Oh, totally. Yeah. But for the sake of the audience, will you just say kind of what we talked about, what you said?
So I think it's funny too, because the last time I did this, we talked about Terrifier 2.
Probably.
So I just think, yeah, we did. So like, I just think it's kind of fun that it's like, I'm back and now we're talking about Terrifier again. So Terrifier 3, I got to see it at Beyond Fest, which is for people who don't know, it's a big festival here in Los Angeles that goes for like 2 straight weeks. And it's very hefty. And that was kind of one of the, I want to go see those screenings, and we happened to get tickets and it was very good. First 2 acts, I loved it. The first 2 acts, and I guess, do we go into spoiler territory here? Can I talk about like what I liked about it, or do
Sure.
we
I
want
would
to
say
be
since
spoiler
it's
light, or
yeah, I would say since it's on home media now and we're several months into it being out, people can forward. I could put up a
what if I do like
thing.
spoiler, and then like when I'm done, I'll do this again, and people can mute it and they'll know. So
Perfect.
So I thought the setup, the first 2 acts were really great. I thought that the kills were so mean-spirited, especially that mall scene when I'm like, he just wants to be Santa. Just let him be Santa. He seems to be having a good time. He's giving these kids like toys that seem like very meaningful to them, and it's cute. And then the minute security's like, no, he's like, okay, I'm just gonna blow everybody up. And I
Right.
knew when that kid took that box out, I grabbed my friend Patrick, who was next to me, and I was like, these kids are gonna blow up. And sure enough. And it was just so like I was howling. Like, like the beginning
Yeah.
was like so mean-spirited. The chainsaw up the butt, so mean-spirited.
Yeah.
But somewhere between the second and third act, it lost me. And the main reason it lost me is I feel like there was some sort of reel missing, or it got edited out. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I just feel like they spent so much time setting up like Catholic imagery, and the kid goes to the Catholic college, like the brother. And I'm like, first of all, a girl would not be in a dorm like this, the boys' dorm, if it was a real Catholic. Like they would not let that happen. And it wasn't
Right.
like, oh, we're sneaking. It was just like any other state school or something. And I'm like, that's weird. And then they spend so much time setting up the frat party with no real payoff. And I was like, that's kind of weird, because I figured he'd just slaughter the whole frat party, whatever.
Yeah.
And then once Sienna is like walking around, I'm like, oh, she must be dreaming. This is like a dream sequence, but it wasn't. And I was like, something between the uncle picking up I'm here to pick up your brother, and her walking around to like chaos of like the family being slaughtered or whatever. I thought I shouldn't have thought that it was a dream sequence for as long as I thought it was. And I was
Yeah.
like, did they edit something out? Like it feels like, and I definitely feel like the brother's death is a red herring. Like I don't think he's really dead. But also I'm like, how much lore do we need of this? And then like she's got the sword, and it's like she dug it up, but it's like, why didn't we see that? Like I just felt like they made weird choices. And I don't know, maybe there'll be an unrated or like a director's cut or something out there, and maybe we'll get those answers. But it really fizzled out for me at the end. So it went from like, if we're going by letterbox ratings, like it went from like gonna be a 4 to like I think I ended up giving it like a 3 or even a 2.5, because it just ruined it for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is happening here? Why did we just like plonk everything down without any setup? Why did we set all these things up without any payoff? It was
Right.
weird.
Yeah. For what it's worth,
Oh,
you and I I will say that, and then I won't spoil, but you and I both, and Fritz, I know for sure, and I've talked about Fritz. Fritz is Colleen's spouse, who hooks me up with lots of good movies to watch and lots of bad movies to watch. And the 3 of us collectively, and many in the audience, have watched really terrible movies from the 80s and 90s that these flaws would fit right alongside. So in that way, it is a very period accurate homage. As far as, I think of something like Colobos, where it's like logic is stretched to its seams, and but with Terrifier you can forgive it because of the performances. I
right.
think we all love Thornton, we all love Lavera.
They're great.
Yeah. As well as everybody else in the cast. I didn't get to see Little Bites. I know that Little
I
Bites,
didn't see that either. I wanted to see it and I didn't. That was actually playing at Beyond Fest too, but it was against something else, so I didn't end up getting
yeah,
to see it.
that stars apparently one of the moms from Terrifier in the beginning sequence. So that is to say, and plus the big name casts that we know, as far as like Jason Patrick, Clint Howard, folks that you'd know who popped up in that movie.
Jason Patrick was sitting behind me at the screening, and I was like, ooh. So like I didn't say anything to him or anything, but I was like, I love you in Rush.
I love actors like him or a Katie Sagal who you can like follow that you have been part of all of these iconic things. I like
Yeah,
named Katie Sagal because Married with Children, Sons of Anarchy.
Futurama. Yeah,
Yeah. And then
she's
she'll do
great.
projects like Torn Hearts, which I loved
Yeah,
a couple years ago. Like good for you getting to pop up in all these things.
I agree. Yeah, Jason Patrick. I was like, oh shit, look who it is.
Is there any other? Now I know Beyond Fest showed some older movies and had like folks there, directors and actors with Q&A. Was there any other new releases that you can?
For horror, you know what? Let me grab my trusty letterbox because it
Yeah.
was if it's such a blur. And we
Well,
did, I mean, we went, my friend Alex and I were like, this is the first year that we did it. Like I've only ever gone to screenings as like a guest of someone for
sure.
Beyond Fest. So this was the first year it was like I'm going like I'm buying tickets and I'm going like independently. But of course we like try to buddy up and go together.
Yeah.
And we kind of went a little overboard. So we were at the movies literally every day for 2 straight weeks.
That's
And
amazing.
I think I saw like 25 movies in the end or something like that. And like I missed like I said to Fritz, I'm so sorry, but I'm not gonna be around for our anniversary. We had to like, do like a post anniversary party. So like, okay, so let's see. Um I did see a bunch of short films, none to really write home about. If you want me to get catty, I was subjected to Emma Raimi's short film twice,
Okay.
and it was not good. And I feel like if she's gonna have it during her dad's triple feature, why is it also in a shorts block,
Yeah.
taking away from another filmmaker?
Yeah.
It's not good. I was very annoyed by it. Anyway, um, they did the Shush cut of Hush.
Okay.
So that was really cool. So it's black and white and like the sound design's a little different and stuff.
Oh,
Very,
okay.
very good. And that was with Mike Flanagan and Kate Siegel in attendance. So that was really rad.
Yeah.
They did an anniversary screening of Texas Chainsaw, but they did Chain Reactions after, which is that documentary.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's kind of less a documentary about how this was made and more a I'm a famous person and this is how Texas Chainsaw has influenced me.
Okay.
I mean, Takashi Miyake and like Stephen King, and it was so riveting.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't think I would like it as much as I did, but I was like, oh my god, this is like fascinating. So definitely worth seeing.
That's a great angle to take since there have been so many Chainsaw Massacre documentaries that
Yeah,
that's a good unique one.
that's why I was kind of going into it like, I don't fucking care. And then Phil from Fango, he was like, no, you're gonna love it. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, oh no, you were completely correct. I did love that. So that's definitely worth checking out. Let's see. Then it was the Raimi triple, so that's not Terrifier. And then they did they did the Saw 20th anniversary. Very special for me because that was the first movie I saw after Aiden was born. So it made me think of that. And it's so funny because they had the full cast and crew there.
Yeah.
And Tobin Bell was like, when I read that script and I read the part where I stand up at the end, I said, if we can pull this off, this will be movie history. Like this will be an iconic movie moment. And of course it is.
It is.
I remember going to it with Aiden's dad, and we had just had Aiden. He was like a month old, and my parents were watching him. It was our first like time away from him. And when he stood up at the end, we were like, what the fuck? Like it was so exciting. I did see Jimmy and Stiggs. This is a horror movie.
Yeah,
By Joe
tell me more
Bezos.
about that one.
Okay. Now, I have a cough drop in my mouth, so I apologize. It's the air quality is terrible here right now, so I was outside. Jimmy and Stiggs, here's the thing. I liked it as a concept, and the way it was filmed was very fun. And Joe Bezos, he did that Christmas one, Christmas Bloody Christmas.
Thank you. That's what I was
Yes.
trying to remember. It's
Yeah.
Joe Bagos.
Bagos.
Yeah, I loved Christmas.
I was saying
Bloody
Bezos. It's Bagos. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think like 2 years ago. My issue with his films, and they're totally self-made, Like he was like, I trashed my apartment to make this. Like I did not get that deposit back. And you know, and then they're very fun, but they're too long.
Okay.
And they're not even that long, but to me they're too long. And I
Yeah.
feel like these would be better as short.
Okay.
And like I was like, it's too long. And someone was like, Colleen, it's like 70 minutes long. I'm like, it doesn't matter. It should be like 20 minutes long. Like especially for Jimmy and Stiggs, it's an alien invasion movie.
Yeah.
And like there it's just like constant like, oh, I'm snorting some pills, oh, I'm drinking, and it's like repeating this like, oh, I'm kind of like a drunken mess. And it's
Yeah.
like, but how many shots of him snorting a bunch of pills do we need to watch? Like
Right.
you already set it up, he's crazy, whatever, like let's get on with it. On a personal note, and he seems like a very nice guy, and everyone I know who knows him is like, oh, he's a great guy, like whatever. He looks so much like an ex that I have that was not nice to me in like a
Oh no.
very drastic way, that it's actually difficult. It was actually difficult for me to watch the movie because he stars in it. And I was just like, I can't get over the fact that he looks like redacted. You know what I mean? But I think it's worth watching for sure. And it is very fun and it has a very fast energy to it. But to me, once again, I just feel like his movies should be shorts instead. And my Letterboxd review was, I enjoyed the first 30 minutes of Bagos' movies, but then they lose my interest. This was a fun little romp, but it was fatiguing after a while. It's clearly a labor of love, and I appreciate that, but it's just too long. Beyond Fest premiere with Q&A hosted by James Branscombe of Cinematic Void. So that was one. Worth checking out.
Yeah.
And then no, nothing else new, I don't believe, because we did The Hidden, which is very fun, Event Horizon, and then it ended with Speed. So yeah, no, those were the only two kind of like,
Gotcha.
two or
Okay.
three like premieres that I went to. I think there were Little Bites did premiere, other ones like that, but I didn't go to see them. I saw something else. So
Gotcha.
they pit a lot of stuff against each other.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
Sophie's choice of what we want to see.
It's like Lollapalooza stages.
Exactly.
Coachella
Yeah.
would be the modern equivalent
So
of
yeah,
that.
so Terrifier 3. I was glad to go to the premiere. That was very fun. But
Yeah.
you know, to me, it just like, I don't know, if it comes out with the director's cut, I would check that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know
Fair
that
enough.
they were trying to make it shorter because the complaints were that 2 was too long,
Yeah.
but
I
it
need
wouldn't bother me.
I want a 3-hour Terrifier 4.
Yeah, why not? Like, let's go out with a bang, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So.
Now I didn't go to any festivals in person, but I did get hooked up, and I will always drop the name Ted Gagan on this show because
Oh,
he
he's
is,
so nice.
yeah, yeah, and he has definitely set me up with films and festivals as far as getting the link to watch, and the two that there's a couple I really like this year, and I've already done reviews of these, so I'll just say go back and listen to what I said about A Most Atrocious Thing, which is like a comedy sketch group doing a zombie movie,
Okay.
zombie via tainted deer meat, and it's good.
Oh, cool. That's kind of like Redneck Zombies when they're zombies because of the moonshine, which
Yes,
like
yes.
I have such a soft spot for that.
Exactly. Bloody Bridget, which is kind of it's an Elfman thing. Danny Elfman did the score, but it was
Okay.
his
I didn't
brother
even
who
hear about that one.
directed it. And Bridget, no, I'm sorry, not Bridget Elfman. Bridget's the character name. But I wanted to bring this one up specifically. Sorry, Richard Elfman is the director, and he's done a bunch of stuff over the decades.
Okay.
And his wife, who's a burlesque dancer in real life, is a burlesque dancer in this, but she becomes a Valentine vampire. So it's very campy.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah, and it has what I call, and I could be completely inaccurate because I haven't lived in Los Angeles in several years, but
Okay.
I feel like there is what I call the North Hollywood aesthetic. And it's a certain like literary and art scene thing. People definitely in the Valley in North Hollywood.
I
And
100% know what you mean when you said
okay.
that. Like I've never heard that term, but I 100% understood it in my soul.
Yes. And I just saw Free LSD, which was a movie by the band Off, and so this was Dimitri from Off,
Okay.
and who I met many many years ago to party, and he wasn't in Off at that time. He was in the other band that before Off. Keith from Circle Jerks and Black Flag actually.
Yeah, well, nice.
Um,
Okay.
yeah, so it was Off and it was their band and the band is over and this film was a farewell and it's part concert film but really most of it S.A. Griffin is in it. I have to shout out S.A. Griffin because I love his family. I don't know him as well, but I have on a couple occasions, and he's been in a bunch of stuff. He was like a hitman in Cool as Ice, the Vanilla Ice movie.
Oh my God, I love that. Somebody I know just watched that for the first time, and I was like, I love that for you. I wish I could experience Cool as Ice for the first time again.
Yes. So it has all these people that pop up, Davey Havoc from AFI. And so it's kind of a horror movie, kind of sci-fi, though there's aliens involved and stuff. But like it has, for better or worse, like I call it the North Hollywood aesthetic. There's just something that's like, where all these people hang out and there's like a wackiness and campiness to it and perversity.
I love that.
And it just reminded me of going to see radioactive chicken heads at the CIA back in the day. So
memories.
Yeah. So definitely recommend those. Did you get to see Humanist Vampire Seeks Consenting Suicidal Person?
No, I didn't. I like the title though.
Yes. This is, and again, I've covered it on the show. It's a double feature you have to see with Lisa Frankenstein. It's just
I love Lisa Frankenstein.
Yeah. Another great one this year. Or sorry, 2024.
Here's the issue. I watch a lot of movies.
Yeah.
I think Letterboxd told me I watched like 500 and something movies last year. That's not including the weekly Clute screening I do.
Yeah.
But I stopped I'm not gonna log this every time I watch it. It's like a comfort movie for me now. But Fritz and I plan out our month. So we don't deviate much from that. So this month is Giallo movies and we have one for every day. So I'm not just popping on consenting suicidal vampires or whatever. And then I go to the movies a lot, but it's usually repertory screening, so there's these gaps where it's I'm always watching a movie, but I'm not so much seeking out these smaller ones like you do, you know what I mean? Which is
Sure.
unfortunate. I wish I had more time to, because I'm I wish I could watch Little Bites or this one. And I just don't have the time. Plus I just wrote a book, so that took up a lot of space.
Yes.
In my free time. But okay, go on about this though, because I want to hear about it.
I mean, I will, it's instead of the girl and the undead boy, it's the boy and the undead girl. So, and it's French. So,
I like that. And double it with Lisa Frankenstein.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will that unless you want to see the review or talk more about off camera. Also, another film festival one this year for me. We did a review of it here. Purgatory Jack, which is, and I will say this too about a Free LSD, very Repo Man and feeling. I would say that about Free LSD.
I love Repo Man.
There's definitely that Repo Man feel to it because of the sci-fi and Keith Morris. But yeah, Purgatory Jack definitely has that kind of Alex Cox feel as far as bizarre, elevated, reality, but not in a David Lynch way,
Okay.
So Purgatory Jack, as it sounds like, it takes place in Purgatory, and it's kind of a noir.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah. But taking place with all these, and I think people mentioned maybe at the time Repo, the genetic opera, as kind of feeling like that because there's body part trading things.
You know what's crazy is I woke up the other day with a Repo line stuck in my head.
Yeah.
Repo the genetic opera, and it's like an interviewer, and he's singing, and he's he's saying to the main Largo guy or whatever, and he's like, Zydrate use and its abuse, right? That's the line. He wants to talk to him about Zydrate use and its abuse, right? The people talking about it. And it's just that one line. And I woke up with it echoing in my head, and I was like, where the fuck did this come from? I have not watched Repo in forever. I did get that book that was written about it. I got a copy of that book. I will, hold on, let me tell you, it's in the other room, so I don't want to get up, but it is
Yeah.
a book of like how they made it. Repo, the genetic opera book. But man, what a movie that is.
Yeah.
It is called Blood Saga: Dissecting the Cult Film Repo, the Genetic Opera. That's the name of the
Gotcha.
book. I have a copy of it. I have not read it yet. It is by Stacy Wilson.
Okay.
And it is you can get it from 1984 Publishing, I believe is the press that put it out. So
Beautiful.
so
Beautiful.
I'm excited for that. But yeah, I woke up with this one random like moment that just not even like a main moment. And I'm like, why am I thinking that? So I love that though. I love anything that's like Repo adjacent.
Yeah, yeah. Another festival one, did you get to see Le Vourdalek?
Mm-mm.
That's one I will definitely recommend, and you'll hear everybody recommending it. Everybody's in love with Nosferatu right now, which I have not seen.
It's good.
You
We can
like
talk about it real quick, like without any
Yeah.
spoilers. I can talk about it.
It's a 100-year-old movie. I mean,
it is like if
the
you've
story.
seen the other Nosferatus, it doesn't deviate too much from those. And yeah, I'm
Yeah.
looking at your list here. I love
Starring Yoga Hoser's own Lily Rose Depp.
right? But she's fantastic in it.
Yeah.
The stuff she does to her body in it, it's like crazy.
Yeah.
And it's very like there's a lot of stuff happening there. It's not like people are like it's horny, and then people are like it's not horny. It's not really horny, but it's like it's like yearning, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? And it is like kind of tender in certain spots and stuff, but also there's a lot of like kind of like subtext of like abuse and grooming and the idea of a woman being like sexually unpure, especially considering the time period. Everyone in the movie is bringing their A game. Nicholas Hoult, Bill Skarsgård's like if I didn't know that was him in it, I wouldn't know it was him.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy what they've done to him. And and of course Willem Dafoe is just there having like the fucking time of his life. He's just like, let's burn everything. It'll be great. And it's like so funny. Like it's like very, very good. It's a little slow. I told Aiden, he's like, a lot of my friends saw it and he's, got a girlfriend and he's like, should we go see it? And I'm like, I'm gonna tell you right now, you're not gonna like it because it's very slow. And
Yeah.
something has to be a little fast paced for him to like it. But I thought it was gorgeous to look at, very brooding, very lovely. If it were a smell, it would smell like rotting lilacs. It was just very lovely. Like I highly recommend seeing it. But also it doesn't bring a lot of new stuff to the Nosferatu table.
Sure.
You have the woman Nosferatu is, Count Orlok is obsessed with her husband and the plague. Like it's got all those notes in it. So
yeah, and I mean, Le Bourdalek was, very similarly based on an older vampire story, and the actual story was already done by oh gosh, we talked about this. I talked about this in the original review. The Bay of Blood director.
Baba?
Yes, Baba already did it in Black.
Sabbath?
Yeah, 'cause that's the one with the short story, the 3 short. Yeah. It's a Le Bourdalek is a segment in that movie.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I was like,
So
why does that sound so familiar?
it's the same exact story. It's just
Well, okay.
stretched out, a bit more gay and funnier, and spoiler, a puppet.
Okay.
So it's definitely.
Yeah, I think that was Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
I always mix it up with Black Mass. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those, but it's Baba, and actually that's a great anthology movie. We just watched it for the first time ever.
Yeah.
In October. No, I just loved it. So
Yeah.
But okay, yeah, I thought that name, the Le Vourdalek, I thought that sounded familiar, and that is, I remember looking it up when I saw that, because I was like, this is a very interesting story. I will check that out. There's a puppet involved, you say?
There's a puppet involved.
Okay.
And Bill Skarsgård's appearance was anticipated, but it's nothing compared to this vampire. This puppet.
Okay, perfect.
This one's out of left field a little bit, but another festival title, I believe, was Frankie Freako.
I am so mad I haven't watched this yet.
Okay.
Because that's high on my, like, I need to make time for this, and I just haven't.
Yeah.
Because that is so high on my list. Because it's the Psycho Gorman people, right?
Psycho Gorman, the editor.
I love the editor too. Oh my God. I love it. But
and
Psycho Gorman, come on.
and it's got a
No.
bunch of the Red Letter Media guys are in it doing voice acting,
Oh, I love
which is
that.
funny. So
I gotta watch that because that is one of those things that I'm like, I gotta watch this.
yeah,
I have not
not a
had the
horror,
time.
more of a just like a Garbage Pail Kids
Yes,
/ Ghoulies / Critters style,
but
kind of.
that Ghoulies Go to College is my favorite. So
I do.
I definitely, I gotta make time for that for sure.
Yeah. It definitely felt more like Garbage Pail Kids than it did a Ghoulies or Critters movie, but
That's
I
okay. I
know
love the Garbage Pail Kid movie. It's so stupid.
it was basically all inspired from,
I did see it in theaters this past year.
Nice.
Like the Garbage Pail Kid, and it was very well attended. And I remember I was sitting next to a friend of mine who's very serious all the time, very serious, and he just like that one Garbage Pail Kid just keeps pissing, and
Yep.
at one point he was just like, "My fucking God," and he was just laughing, and I was like, "I don't think I've ever seen you laugh like this before. Like you're having a genuine fun." So
Aw.
weird, but I love it. So whatever. Frankie
Nice.
Freako.
Frankie Freako. Do you know anything about... Actually, before I cover that one, did you see Salem's Lot that finally came out?
Didn't see that. They did play that at Beyond Fest. I didn't see it.
Okay. Didn't see it. Stephen King stuff I'm terribly behind on in life, When the Trash Man Knocks, I'm just going to throw in a plug because I love When the Trash Man Knocks. It technically was the end of 2023, but I think it's an important one for people to go see. It's Halloween Ends, but done right.
Okay.
With its own mythology instead of Michael Myers.
I love that. Okay.
Yeah. Blackout, Larry Fessenden, another person who I'm terribly behind on. I know him better as an actor than I do as a writer-director, but I did like Blackout.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, werewolf movie.
Okay. Yes, I remember. It was on the Fango cover, I think.
Yes.
I didn't see it though.
Okay. Did you end up saying I saw the TV Glow?
You know what's funny? I didn't see that, but Aiden did.
Okay.
Which was like, like I said, Aiden does not like movies.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it takes a lot for him to watch a movie, but he did watch that one before I did. And he keeps saying, like, you have to watch it so I can talk to you about it. And he actually really liked it. But
See, I'm not convinced. I'm sorry, go ahead.
He was kind of like, it was kind of weird and stuff, but he like understood what they were trying to do with it and stuff.
Yeah.
Like the subtext or it wasn't even subtext. It's like the text, right? But
right.
but yeah, he watched it and I was like, I haven't even seen that yet. So I think we talked about it. I was very about World's Fair.
Yeah.
And
are these horror movies?
I don't know if they're really horror movies, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're kind of horrifying, maybe. Like the horror of being alive, right? Like they're not like the human condition movies.
Sure.
But like my issue, I think, with World's Fair, and I think about it a lot. So it at least was successful in the sense that I think about it all the time. You know what I mean? So like, but I didn't like it. Much like The Virgin Suicides, a movie I think about all the time and do not like. But I think the issue with World's Fair is, a lot of people are like, oh, it's like a trans allegory. And I'm not trans. So I'm like, well, maybe I'm just missing something because I don't have that like context. And that's okay. Sure. It's just not a movie for me, and that's fine.
Sure.
And I feel that's why I'm not like rushing to see I Saw the TV Glow.
Yeah.
Even though people love it. I'm just like I'll get to it eventually. But it's just really funny that like Aiden saw it first.
Yeah.
That never happened.
Well, apparently the director is making a slasher produced by Brad Pitt. How do we feel about this?
Well, I'm not a Brad Pitt fan. I mean, Brad Pitt's hard because I do like movies that he's in, like Fight Club. I love, but he's like a bad person.
Yeah.
Also,
just
like, if he's putting his money towards, like, showcasing, like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like stop clocks, right? Like, every once in a while, like, even Trump said you should vaccinate your kids.
yeah.
So, like, you know what I mean? So, like, okay, that's fine. Take the
Yeah.
money. I'd take it. If I have a lot of problems with Brad Pitt, but if he came to my house and said, "I'm gonna give you some money," I would take the money. Like, I'm not that ethical. Come on. Well, I mean, come on, really.
Oh gosh.
So, no, so I didn't see it yet.
Okay.
How did you feel about it?
I didn't see it. That's why I wanted
Oh,
to ask.
okay.
I just so there are a couple directors that I am not interested yet in their movies. Michael Flanagan's one of them. I think this is the first time I'm saying that out loud on the show.
That's crazy. He's pretty good.
I don't know. I have weird reasons for not being interested in like Midnight Mass. There's that dude who was in it, who was in this terrible one season show where he played a rapist that was redeemed and put on a detective squad. And then like he's like the main priest, I think, in Midnight Mass. And I was like, I don't want to see this guy's face. And like I know it's my weird thing, but um I don't know. Like it's same with like, Brad Pitt. I enjoyed Brad Pitt up until Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and enjoy that movie very much. But like I'm just not interested in seeing anything involving Brad Pitt anymore.
Yeah. I love Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I love it.
To be
I think
clear,
it's Tarantino's best movie.
taking on a problematic role like the Midnight Mass dude is not nearly as much of a crime as allegedly, assaulting your family on an airplane.
Right.
Um, but again, like it's my weird things about stuff I will
I
see or
get it.
won't.
Yeah. Totally cool with me. I totally
Another
get it.
one that's like had a weird thing about not seeing is Speak No Evil. I wasn't interested in the original. I'm not interested in the original Funny Games. I'm not interested in the American remakes of Funny Games or Speak
I
No
love
Evil.
funny games. I love both of them. They're the same movie. It's not a big
Yeah.
deal.
But I'm okay with like the shenanigans in Terrifier 3 involving kids and in Christmas Bloody Christmas. I feel like if it's funny or bizarre, then I will love it. If it's like very bleak, I'm not
It's
as interested.
realistic. Yeah.
And that's another reason I'm
Take
not
on it.
interested in Flanagan and Doctor Sleep.
Oh, yeah.
There's a scene there where I don't think it's even that bad in the book, and he was like, "No, let's really pile it on for the movie."
Hmm.
And my running joke when Michael Flanagan backs out of a project was, "Oh, they wouldn't let him kill enough kids for it."
Or cats. He's got a problem with killing a lot of cats.
Oh
Like,
gosh,
we get it. We don't need more cat bodies. But
yeah, yeah.
no, I get it though. I definitely get it.
I
So
did.
I
Yeah.
didn't see the speak. I actually have it. I got
Okay.
it at trivia the other day. But I haven't watched it yet, and I didn't see the original either. But there was a running joke because, like, the trailer was in front of everything.
Yes.
And it got crazy. And at Beyond Fest, their trailers before the movie, it would start and then it would cut to something else. So like, it'd have like the first like 30 seconds of the trailer and people would be like, and then it would like move to something else and everyone would be like, like so. But I heard it was great.
Yeah.
A lot of people were like, I liked it better than the original. I didn't see the original either. And
Yeah.
I probably won't. I'll probably just watch the American remake, and if I even have time to do that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yes, that escaped me as well.
um, two on the list I just want to check off: Night Bitch and Night Swim. Two movies, both starting with the word night, that got thrown on Hulu. And I haven't seen, and here we're
Middling at best.
yeah.
I heard Night Swim was terrible. Night Bitch, for the most part, no one I know liked it. They had that at Beyond Fest as well. I wanted to read that book.
Yeah.
And I never got a chance to.
Got it.
And then the movie, and I was just like, I think maybe I thought this was about something else. I don't know. Like the movie, like the trailers and stuff did nothing for me. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to watch this. So, I mean, if I stumble upon it someday, sure. But it's definitely not a priority.
Yeah. Another one I didn't prioritize was Smile 2.
I loved it.
Okay, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see a cash grab movie that just takes everything from the first movie before it.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Did you see the first movie?
I did see the first movie.
Did
and I
you
enjoyed
like it?
Yeah.
First of all, I don't have it in here, but I got a Smile mug at
Yes.
Trivia. I think I told you about this, right?
Yes.
Easily the best mug I own. I don't know what it is about it. It was just a promotional mug with a smile on it. Best mug I have. The heft is good. It's just good. It's a good mug. I don't know. I had it in here, but now I have my water. I didn't care. Okay, Smile, it was fine. To me, that's like a solid like 3-star movie. It's fine. I thought the ending was a little like, "Ooh, you can't escape your traumas" or something. And I was like, I
Right.
don't know if I really like love that, but for the most part, I thought it was fine. Fine. It was aggressively fine, right?
Right.
So I'm like, Smile 2. And my friend Alex was like, will you go see Smile 2 with me? And I was like, absolutely. What a fucking movie that is. That
Okay.
took everything about the first movie and made it 7 billion times better, in my opinion. It was funny. It was shocking. Like, there were like a few times where we were like, in the theater. It was gory. Like, it was like, they are very unkind to, what's her name? Naomi Scott. Is that her name?
Yeah.
They're very unkind to her. And she is having a great time like the whole time doing it. It is I have never seen a sequel to a movie improve on the idea of a movie more than that movie. I'm very just okay on Smile, but Smile 2, I was like, we need to watch this like right the fuck now. Like it needs to be out for me to buy right now. I loved it. Plus, she drinks a shocking amount of Voss waters in that movie, and it's so funny. And she's just like the most hydrated bitch on the planet because she's just like, I'm so stressed out. And she's got this gigantic, like this big Voss water, and she just downs it in one sip. I want to know how many like takes it took to get her to do stuff like that. It was so funny, but and it was like good jump scares. Like a couple times we were like in the theater and stuff. It was really good. And I mean,
Good.
I see a lot of movies, you know what I mean? But like, I loved it. If I were to tell you to prioritize any movie we said we haven't seen yet, Smile 2 is the one to prioritize.
Was
I
it a
could
better?
not believe how much I loved it. And
Was it
I don't know if it's because my expectations were so low because of the first
right?
one, but I fucking loved that movie. It was
Yeah.
one of my like tops of the year. I thought it was great. So
Was
the
it a better
ending
pop
too is
star?
like spiritual sequel. It's a spiritual sister to The Substance, I think.
Which I do want to talk about, but before the substance,
It's okay.
pop star movie, The Trap. Sorry, Trap,
I
which
love The
was
Trap.
that was my joke. Was a better pop star movie than the Trap. Trap is also for me low expectations because I'm not an M Night aficionado, and then so this is really the first M Night movie I've probably seen and enjoyed all the way through, not just the memes.
Right.
And yeah, I'd like definitely one of the more memorable ones.
So fun. Like I was having a great time. Fritz and I went to see that together, and I was like, we were just having the time of our lives because it's silly.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, let's go down to that trap door and see what's in there. And she's like, Dad, what the fuck is your problem? Like, I love like the guy who's like, this whole thing is why would this why would this merchandise guy know all this? Like it seems so silly. But
Wasn't it almost like Giallo like in its logic and absurdity?
yeah, it's very absurd in a way that I just loved. I thought it worked. I thought Hartnett was great in it. I
Yeah.
thought the Haley Mills thing was so funny. Like that's like such like a galaxy brain joke. Like
Yes.
that it's like, like I've had to explain it to a few people. Like my friend Alex is a lot younger and she's like, I don't know what that is. I'm like, well, she's in the parent whatever. Okay. So, but God, I loved that movie. It was just so fun. Everyone was having fun. My
Yeah.
favorite part of that movie is when she's like on Instagram Live or TikTok or whatever, and she's like, "Guys, help me!" And all like the responses is like, "Guys, I think she needs help." My sister lives in Peoria, and it's like she's not even anywhere near Peoria or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that my house has a yellow door. Does that count? Like, I thought that was so fucking realistic to just the insane shit you see on like any like Instagram or TikTok live. Just these
Yeah.
like people like, what's up, Detroit? And it's like, well, I'm in Orlando. Does that get like, like, what are you talking about? Right. And I just thought it was so funny. Like,
Yeah.
I really loved Trap a lot. I really did.
Same here.
Yeah.
Um, Did you see Abagail, by the way? That was a big hit last year.
Yeah,
So
you know what's funny is I didn't see Abigail yet, and it is so high on my list of stuff to watch, and I just haven't made the time for it yet. And
yeah.
it's like, God, I know it's good, I know, and I just
Do you
haven't.
mind a slight casting spoiler?
Well, I mean, nah, it probably is. It the Dan Stevens thing?
No, because
Oh,
no.
okay. No, I don't mind. I don't care about that. I probably
Okay.
already know it. So
Well, here's the funny thing. It's kind of a anti-spoiler. So the only thing I didn't like about Abagail was that it's a great movie. You know, it's the Radio Silence guys who did two of the Scream movies. I know you don't care about Scream,
not a
but
Scream fan. I did have my Scream sweater on earlier, though. It's a good sweater. I don't like the movie, but it's a good
yeah,
sweater.
they also did Ready or Not, and I think some VHS segments. I know neither of us really care about the VHS series. Um,
They did
uh,
do the newest one at Beyond Fest as well. I did not go to it. So
yeah.
I'm not a VHS fan.
I love VHS 99, and that's about it for me. But there is a Kaiser Soze esque character in the film, and when he finally reveals himself, as the story will, inevitably do, you expect some heavy hitter to walk in, and the person who is cast is a capable character actor who I just have not seen any of his stuff. Like, I wanted it to be like, oh gosh, I mean, anybody, like, just I wanted to be a big name, and it's just like, it's some dude,
Who was
like,
it?
I don't know, like,
Oh,
the thing, I literally don't remember the guy's name. It wasn't like, I mean, Bruce Campbell walks in as
right,
Dracula.
right. It wasn't like that. I'm
No,
gonna
it's just like,
look it up
it should have
because
been
it has to be
somebody.
on the IMDb, right?
I mean, you know that the film's going to center around Abagail, and it's going to center around the Melissa Barrera character and the Dan Stevens character and stuff. And
Love Dan Stevens. He's always just having a wacko time.
but so, like, if you're going to have this big Kaiser Soze reveal near the end of the movie, it should be somebody who, like Nicolas Cage, make it somebody who's really going to like wow you, because you're expecting the character to show up.
Was it
So
Giancarlo Esposito?
no,
Oh.
he's right in the beginning,
Was
near the
it
beginning.
Matthew Good?
Gosh, that
Matthew
might have,
Good is you would know him from, I believe, The Watchmen. I believe this is that guy. And
okay.
maybe Stoker. Isn't this the Stoker guy? Hold on, let me look. Let me scroll down. Yes. You saw The Watchmen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was Adrian Veidt, Ozymandias.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, so it definitely was that guy.
Okay,
So
so it was him. Yeah,
I've
that's not
seen
a
his stuff.
random. He was. Did you ever see Stoker?
No, I know it was written by the star of Prison Break, though.
Beautiful movie. Saw a screening of it this year, and guess who hosted it? Your favorite, Michael Flanagan. But it really is a gorgeous movie to watch and shocking too. Very good. Highly recommend Stoker. It's a very underrated little gem of a movie.
Very
But
cool.
but yeah, Matthew Good. Yeah. Okay. See, yeah, I would appreciate him showing up because I think he's kind of good looking. But like, why is he there?
Yeah.
I see
No,
what you mean. Like, get Nicolas Cage to be this person or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't complain about it otherwise. Looking at the list, one movie I do want to mention, I should mention two movies I recently saw. Because we're talking about 2024, best of 2024. So Hayride to Hell, which I know you haven't seen yet, but it took a while to come out. It's Bill Moseley, Kane Hodder. It's
Oh, okay. Yeah. I remember that.
very much in the style of a Haunted Ween or a The Barn 2, or like any movie where people got to put together a haunted house. But so it's not Citizen Kane, but it's, I forgave it for its flaws because I love Bill Moseley, like on a personal level, like he's a good dude. Kane Hodder on a personal level, good dude.
Yeah, they're
And
both awesome.
yeah, and there's some other folks who pop up in it who are great. Like I love the cast. Bill Moseley's daughter is in it as well, and by all accounts is a cool lady. What I found out about this movie was it was actually written and put on by like the guy whose farm it was filmed on, and it was based on, except for the part where people start getting killed, it was based on his troubles with his township shutting down his haunted hayride.
Okay.
And him like needing to save his farm, he's like, I'm gonna raise money to save the farm. I'm gonna make a movie. And so this was this big thing in his Pennsylvania county. And so it's like, okay, this has my full endorsement now.
Right.
So it's very corny. It actually starts off feeling like a Hallmark movie till it takes a sharp turn.
Okay.
That was one of the movies that I saw recently. The other, because I just got on Tubi, and I was like, what Tubi movies can I watch before the best of 2024? Maybe Free LSD was the other one. I feel like there was another one. I know you didn't care about Beetlejuice. I
No,
saw it.
I don't care
Fine.
about regular. Not even young Alec Baldwin can save me when it comes to regular Beetlejuice. I just don't like that movie. I watched it in October because we did. Was it October we watched it? It might have been September. I can't remember, but we did Alec Baldwin August.
Mhm.
And then we segued into something else. I think comedy, drama. So we segued from Alec Baldwin August, I believe, into Beetlejuice. Like Beetlejuice was the segue into September, like comedy movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna give it a fighting chance. And I watched every second of it, and I was like, wow, you know what? I fucking hate this movie.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's okay. I know I'm in a minority there. Like it is. People were mixed on the sequel. I know when it comes to Beetlejuice itself, it is a beloved movie.
Yes.
I know I am in the minority. I know this
Yeah.
is my issue, not everyone else's.
It's kind of like for Beetlejuice, it's kind of like, oh, they made another Hocus Pocus. Fine. Like, okay, it was fine. The other movie I did see that I caught up on, and then I'll get into some heavy hitters, is The Old Ones. And it's just it's a Lovecraft, and I wanted to do one of you as a renowned author. I wanted to get your Lovecraft views, but I was just gonna say, if you remember the show Grimm, where it was like we're gonna have these mysteries and noirish kind of things all within the framework of Grimm's tales,
Right.
This was that, but using Lovecraft. And they had a very clever way of doing that. It's low budget. It's not, your star actors. It's some people who do decently. Joe Castro, who I've interviewed and has done a lot of stuff. Like he's got some great creature effects and gore effects in it, so that's always fun. And but it had like the Lovecraftian, ending where it twists the knife and it's like, oh, it's not a happy ending. And I always hate that for some reason. I hated that about Glorious, even though I think Glorious is a great movie. There was twists in that movie which made me like mad. And so the same thing with here, and I'm like, maybe that's just a Lovecraftian thing. I don't know.
I think so. I'm not a huge Lovecraft fan. Lovecraft is that sort of like speculative fiction, science fiction stuff, and that is not. I'm very particular about my speculative fiction.
Yeah.
Like very particular. Like basically I like like, oh god, I'm blanking on his name right now. Fuck, dude. The guy who wrote Boy and His Dog.
Oh, Harlan Ellison, right?
Harlan Ellison. So basically, I like Harlan Ellison, and then everything else kind of like whatever. I'm not a big Lovecraft person at all. So when people talk about like Lovecraftian, like this and that, and Cthulhu and all that, I'm like, I couldn't tell you.
Fair enough.
I mean, the only reason I know Glorious is because Becca McKendry directed it, and he's a friend of mine. So or a trivia host, Becca McKendry.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm not big on that. It's just not for me. You know what I mean? I've never really fell into like the speculative fiction rabbit hole of like, oh, I love this stuff. I love Harlan Ellison, and then that's about it.
Yeah.
Octavia Butler, but like clearly, but like, for the most part. So.
I mentioned Grimm. There are two kind of horror well, one's outright horror. A TV series this year was Hysteria, which was a Peacock 80s satanic panic kids who have unpopular kids who have a rock band, garage rock band, you know, decide to become satanic rock to get popularity in the midst of Stranger Things happening in the kind of things happening in the town. So it was like Stranger Things meets Glee, but 80s satanic panic. So it was good. There's a really substantial Barbara Crampton and Jeffrey Combs cameo in one of the beginning of
Oh,
the
I
episode.
love that.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell's like the town sheriff, so that's good. And then Fallout, I watched not knowing much about the video game, but Walton Goggins as a ghoul. That's, you know, how can you go wrong?
Oh yeah, I didn't watch that either, but I do love Walton Goggins. He's always bringing it in like
Yes,
everything he's in. From
yes.
Sons of Anarchy to
I don't think people understand that Walton Goggins is a Nicolas Cage level insane actor.
oh, I love him. I love him.
Yeah, yeah. Um, did you see either Cuckoo or Strange Darling? And am I a misogynist for mixing up these films?
No, you're not a misogynist. I did see both. I hated Strange Darling. I
Okay.
hated it. We'll talk about we can talk about that in a second, but I do want to talk about Cuckoo. I did like Cuckoo. I got to see the premiere, the Los Angeles premiere here in at the Vista Theater here in California.
Yeah.
And it had the director and it was very interesting. And what was so funny was like uh an earthquake hit like while we were sitting there. It was very minor, obviously, but we were all like, wow, the marketing for this is outrageous. My issue with Cuckoo in the theater was, and this might be me, but everyone is like coming at everyone with like a very thick German accent.
Okay.
And I mean, Stan Stevens being crazy, which I love, but um I had a hard time processing what was being said because of that. And I said to myself, I liked this movie, but I think I'll appreciate it more when I can watch it at home with subtitles on. Because like I think a lot of it was getting lost because by the time my brain was like catching up to what they were saying, they were moving on to like the next scene.
Yeah.
Hunter Schafer is fantastic in it. It's really really good looking movie. The sound design's great. I had some issues with the creature.
Okay.
When I saw, I don't think this is too spoilery, but when I saw, I have like a poster that I got at the thing over there somewhere. When I saw the previews, I thought that this like monster creature thing in the woods, the cuckoo of the cuckoo, uh, I thought that it had like these weirdly shaped eyes. And I was like, that's so interesting. And then when I finally saw it, it was just Kurt Cobain sunglasses. And I was like, I don't get it. So
Yeah.
it's like it was like the creature was like way too human. Like, you know what I mean? It was just like human, but like a Nell type character that like lived in the woods. Like not to bring up like 1992's Nell, like a movie that nobody thinks about, but like it just like it would have been cooler to me if it were like this crazy looking monster instead of just like kind of a woman with like, you know, like different like genetic makeups than like actual women or something. I don't know. It was weird. I did like the movie very much. That's where it fell a little short for me. But I still liked it. I had a lot of fun watching it at the theater. I had a lot of fun watching it at home once it was out. You know, like it's probably not a movie I'll revisit too much. Hunter Schafer's fantastic in it. There's
Yeah.
a scene where she's like in crashes in a car and she's upside down, and Smile 2 also does this sort of like I'm trapped in a smashed up car thing, and the actress there did it very well too, but she's upside down and the blood like runs into her eye and like because she's upside down and like fills the white of her eye around her pupil, and I was
Yeah.
like, that is so gross. But like she did that. Like it's clearly like a practical effect. And I was like, I'm obsessed with how that just happened. Like, and she just like is acting through it. Because if I get like a piece of dust in my eye, I'm like, so I really liked that. But I did think that they could have gone a little further with like the creature situation. But
Mhm.
I did appreciate it.
Cool.
Strange Darling, I absolutely hated. And much like Baby Girl, I had a lot of people telling me you're gonna love this movie because I guess I've made sort of a vague name for myself in the sense of like the transgressive sexual things that like I profess to be into,
Yeah.
and the
Well, your
novel that
nickname is Kolleen Transgressive Sexual Hefner. So.
well, my Twitter name right now is Strip Nude for Your Colleen instead of Your Shitler, which I think is very funny. But but you know what I'm saying is like, you know, I am pretty open about a lot of these types of things. And of course the book that I just wrote is very, like, I'm sure you've seen the excerpts of it, and it can be very graphic in terms of like what is happening in the book and what this like character is going through. So all
But
these
very
people,
sweet as well.
yeah, it's difficult. It's a hard one. But you know, so many people are like, you're gonna love this movie, you're gonna love it. And I'm seeing these like clips of like them being in like the hotel, and he's like, I'm gonna choke you, and she's like, you probably won't do it good enough, or like whatever. And I was like, okay. And then I watched it and I was like, wow, I hate this movie.
Yeah.
I think it's stupid. I think everything about it. And I think the non-linear setup of it hides. I think it's just there to obscure the fact that it's not a very good movie. It's like
Yeah.
doing a Pulp Fiction-y type thing that like, but Pulp Fiction is good. You know what I mean? But like, I think if you put this movie in order, you would not get, you know, and it's like, ooh, what if women were also serial killers?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, like, what are you actually doing here? I will praise Giovanni Ribisi's cinematography. Like, he was the cinematographer for that, and I was like, okay. And it
Wow.
is really a very beautiful looking movie. It's just a
Yeah.
shame it's not very good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't care much for it. I don't, did you see it?
I did not. I was trying to figure out which one to watch first because again, for some reason in
I'd
my
watch
head,
Cuckoo first.
similar poster art, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a girl whose face turned to the side. Hunter Schafer's like bandaged up, but then the Strange Darling girl has like a red wig on.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
like they're facing kind of like they're doing the same thing in the poster.
I've been vindicated. Thank you.
Yeah. Watch Cuckoo
Um,
first.
before we get to heavy hitters, you just remind me of a movie. It was like one that I thought I should have enjoyed more, and I thought it was okay. Was Destroy All Neighbors. I just bring it up because it's got some good people. It's Jonah Ray. It's Alex
Yes.
Winter, and you know, it's a
Charles Piper
comedy.
wrote it, right?
Who did?
Charles Piper, I
Okay,
think. I follow him on Twitter.
gotcha.
I didn't see that and I wanted to.
Yeah, I would say it's you know it didn't make me like fall down laughing. I think it was very I think it would make a good double feature with Onyx the Fortuitous,
Okay.
where it's like clearly horror inspired comedy. I think I would have just enjoyed it a little more if it was a little nastier, but it was a pretty sweet movie. Destroy All Neighbors, like you know, and
Charles
because
Piper
the
was one of the
guys.
writers on it.
Okay. Because the guy's trying to put together like an album, there was like a Bill and Ted feel to it, which by the way, Free LSD, that was the other missing influence that I forgot to mention was Free LSD, the off movie has a Bill and Ted thing because it's like your band is important to blah blah blah, you know. So okay, but it's good. It's got great effects and Alex Winter with weird makeup on is always great.
Yeah, of
Um
course.
yeah, with Freaked and I rewatched the Idiot Box from like 35 years ago. I don't know
Oh,
if you
really?
know. It was like 6 10-minute episodes of an MTV sketch comedy series. And what's the dude from Winter's Bone and Deadwood? John uh um gosh,
Hold
why am
on.
I
Winter's Bone, I'll tell you right now.
John oh
One sec, buddy. I got you. Winter's Bone.
John
John
Hawkes.
Hawkes.
John Hawkes
Oh,
pops up.
yeah, that guy.
Yeah, he pops up on Idiot Box.
Pops
So
up a
that's funny.
lot.
Oh, then I figured out he was in Freaked as well. I didn't realize he was the cowboy dog thing,
And
whatever.
Freaked. Yep.
Okay. Heavy hitters.
Freaked, by the way. Big Fritz movie.
Oh, him and I should
Likes that
throw
movie.
out for Freaked sometime. Yeah. Yeah, there's a funny again to plug Red Letter Media. They did a really good review of it. The show is called Review, and they went into a bunch of the backstory that I didn't know about that movie. I did remember that it first came out as it was going to come out as Totally Hideous Freaks, and the studio made them change it.
Yeah.
I knew that. Okay, here's some heavy hitters from like box office hits and stuff, and also well talked about. First one, AI with the Devil. Sorry, Late Night with the Devil. I didn't see it.
I didn't see it. I refuse to see it.
Okay, we're in the same thing here.
I'm very staunchly against generative AI. And I don't buy the like, oh, we did this before we knew any better. If you look at those screens, they're terrible looking.
Yeah.
And they don't look time appropriate in the least bit.
Yeah.
And like, I'm like, why wouldn't you just have someone at least fix them? You mean to tell
Yeah.
me on this whole movie you don't have one person who can just like Photoshop this? That's weird to me.
Yeah.
And then they also used I forget what war it was, but they also used footage of like a real, it would be like if if we made this movie, like a movie like this, and we used like footage from Gaza. And we were like,
Yeah.
oh my God, when this happened in Gaza. And it's like, why are you using real footage of like to make a point in your, I don't know. I forget which one it was, but like I was already not on the Late Night with the Devil train because of the AI stuff. And that was just like, well, here, I'm gonna put real war footage and I'll tell you what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was already like anti, like, and plus it just doesn't seem interesting to me.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah.
There's somebody on Twitter who I hate read. I don't follow them. I just look them up.
I have about
And they-
900 of those people. You'll have to tell me when we're off who it is.
Yeah. Oh, I've told you about them before. They responded to somebody's tweet about The Substance winning the Golden Globes for best screenplay. And they're like, why did The Substance win for best screenplay when you have Late Night with the Devil? What?
Okay, let's calm down.
Yeah.
I'm desperate to know who this person was, so you will 100% have to tell me when we stop recording.
For sure. You
I
got
want to hate read someone too.
it.
And sorry, probably already do. So
I didn't see Immaculate. I know it was huge. I love Sydney Sweeney as a concept. I love
great in that movie.
You know, I'm not a religious horror person per se, so I missed like The Exorcist and The Omen and everything. But I did go to the bloody end of Immaculate because I wanted to see it, and it was like cool. But I felt like I seen all I needed to see.
She's great in the movie. I loved it. I absolutely loved Immaculate. I did not see that first Omen either. I don't feel the need to. If I see it eventually, cool. And I understand they're doing similar things, but I genuinely loved Immaculate. And of course, I do have a thing for religious horror. I went to Catholic school. I am a practicing Catholic now. So I do have like, you know, a little bit of a, like, it's kind of like a niche interest of mine or whatever, but I thought it was very, very good.
Yeah.
So that was a great one. I do suggest seeing it. I'm glad that it did very well and was like well regarded because I thought it was very, very good. And I thought she was great in it. I mean, I like her again, Once Upon a Time. All the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood girls are like doing cool stuff. Like she did that, and Margaret Qualley did The Substance, and you know, Mickey Madison and Sinanora, and like it's just like good for them. The Manson girls grew up.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, I really did like Immaculate a lot. I thought it was very, very good. So
one of the other Manson girls, another yoga poser, I believe.
Was she?
I believe she was in that too.
Okay.
Harley Quinn Smith.
Okay.
I like that, by the way. In a Violent Nature, for me, was quite possibly my favorite of the year.
Really?
I mean, Terrifier 3 is up there too, but like I am still haunted by it. There's a great folk song at the end credits of In a Violent Nature that I still play. That
Well, check that out. I had a hard time with that movie and did not get through it.
Okay.
I don't think it's the movie's fault. I think it's my fault, and I'm gonna explain why. I started it, and okay, here's the thing about me. I think I might have told you this before, but not like on a show or anything, but I went to a high school that did not have walls. It was an open room concept. So you could hear all the other teachers talking over each other, and it was like dissected by like rolling whiteboards and stuff, and it was just, you know, whatever. And as such, I cannot handle any amount of silence. Even
Yes.
if we are trying to figure out what to watch, we have to put something on and then figure out what to watch so that I have something happening. If it is
Yes.
silent, I start losing my mind. I do not handle it well at all. It's why I write in coffee shops. Even the library has enough of a din that it's like, okay, like I feel comfortable. I cannot do guided meditation. I can't do anything like that. The only time I can walk in silence, I can do stuff in silence is if I'm walking. I can like go
Yeah.
for a walk in silence because I'm listening to like the environment around me.
Yeah.
So that movie instantly I was like, get to the point, do something. And I fast forwarded it to the yoga kill because I wanted to do
Yes.
that. And that was great.
Yeah.
And I understand that there's some good stuff in there,
Oh
but
yeah.
I cannot get through it like that. I just can't do it. And that's not the movie's fault. I'm not saying the movie's bad. I'm
Yeah.
saying I cannot handle that amount of just patience of getting from one point to the other. Do you know what I mean? So
I do.
I had a
Although
very hard time with it.
I would
I
like to
didn't
know
even
some.
count it on Letterboxd. I'm like, I didn't watch this. I just
Yeah.
watched that girl's head get ripped through her own torso, which was fucking amazing.
Yes. If you can get through it someday, or just at least forward to the last, I think 15 minutes, where the movie completely shifts.
You know what we need to do? You need to come over and
Yes.
we'll watch it, but you can talk to me during it. So then
Okay.
I'll have the talking and that will like ease the burden of the silence of the movie, of the slowness of the movie. And then we'll
Yes.
just shut up when something cool is happening.
That's perfect.
I mean, you
I
should
love
just
it.
come over anyway, because like it'll
Yeah,
be cool to see you again.
absolutely.
So, come
Absolutely.
on
We'll
down.
try to.
Maybe after, all the fires are done though. Don't come now.
Yes.
Bad out
Yes.
there.
Yes. Okay. Maxxine was for me the most anticipated movie for 2024 besides Terrifier, and I ultimately would say I enjoyed it. I I don't know if I would really return to any of the Pearl Maxine movies. Like I've seen them once and then like I got it. Maxine I would be the only one I think I would watch again because I was so into like the world of, giallo thriller 80s neon LA and the movie industry in that period. And
I love that aesthetic too. I love like the very seedy De Palma-ish. I did
yeah.
not see this movie, and the reason for it is I do want to eventually watch it.
Okay.
But I had heard everything across the board from this movie fucking sucks to I loved this movie. It was my favorite of the year. So I have heard the gamut. But I spent all year watching everything by De Palma
Right.
in order. And I only have 2 or 3 left. And the one I'm on now is Redacted. Like that's the name of the movie, is Redacted. But
Okay.
it's like war and rape, and he already did that, and that was casualties of war.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not really big on watching a bunch of rape stuff right now. I'm just like
Yeah.
not feeling it emotionally. So I stopped. But the thing is, from what I had heard most, even though that aesthetic, uh that 80s LA, 70s, 80s, 90s, like early 90s LA aesthetic is like exactly my sweet spot, right? Also, before I'm going to interrupt myself to say there's a movie called Hollywood 90028. I think it's
Okay.
also called the Hollywood Hillside Strangler, but that's the title I know it as. That's a fucking movie to watch. So
Okay.
put that on your list. It's old, but I think they just did like Vinegar Syndrome's put it out, or Severin or something. Check that one out because that aesthetic is there and it's amazing. But anyway, um, from what I had heard from the most trusted of sources, uh, they're like, this movie is bad. Like the aesthetic is there, but there's
Yeah.
almost no story. Like it sets up stuff and never finishes stuff. It's like all over the map. And like I love X. And I liked Pearl a lot, but I think X is probably my favorite out of the two.
Mhm.
But it's just like, do I want to waste my time watching like a De Palma ripoff that doesn't pay off at the end?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get to it. We usually do like March misses, and that's when we watch all the stuff we've missed. And actually,
Yeah.
I'll probably use this as like a, I didn't see that yet. I didn't see that yet. I'll use this episode as a guide to like build that thing. But yeah, I didn't see it. And God, I love Mia Goth. And
Yeah.
like I said, I love those other two movies, especially X, but it's just not, after I saw people just, like the people I trust the most, even though we don't always agree, but the people
Sure.
we trust the most, I trust the most, saying, oh, I hated it. And I was like, okay, so like my anticipation for that is now like in the tubes. But I love that aesthetic.
It's, I wish I'd gone and seen it in theaters. I ended up seeing it at home, and I think I would have really had a fun time at the movies seeing it. Um, at night, maybe with friends, watching it in the middle of the day during, on
Like the kids
TV.
are at school and you're watching it. Like I've watched a
Yeah.
lot of movies like that, and it's like, oh,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe it just, even then though, I still really enjoyed it. I enjoyed Kevin Bacon in it. I enjoyed Bobby, I never say his last name right. Bobby
Cannavale.
yeah,
I
who
call
was
him Greasy Pete. And this is why. He was on Boardwalk Empire.
yes.
And a friend of mine, I'm not even friends with this guy anymore, but he was like, oh man, I love that show. I love that one guy. What's his name? Greasy Pete. And I'm like, do you mean Bobby Cannavale? And he was like, yeah. But ever since then, I've called him Greasy Pete. It's just
Yeah.
easier. So I do love him though. He's so good in everything he's in. He
So this
brings
isn't a
his
spoiler.
A.
This isn't a spoiler. This is just his character in the movie. He's a cop
Mhm.
who wanted to be an actor, and so he acts like an actor being a cop, but he is actually a cop.
Okay,
Uh,
that makes sense to me.
it's funny. It's funny.
Here's the thing too
Um,
about that. I know one of the biggest influences on that movie was Angel. Did you ever see Angel?
Not yet, but I
That
did
is
hear.
you would not think a movie about an underage teen prostitute would be as good as it is. It's fucking so good.
Yeah.
Like I love that movie, and it's like I highly recommend it. I know there were sequels. I never saw the sequels, but Angel is definitely worth watching. Angel and Hollywood 90028. You
Cool.
got to write them down because you have to see them. I'm going to quiz you on it in 6 months.
That's a deal.
So yeah, so I didn't get to see Maxxxine. I did have the Fango cover because I try to buy all the covers.
Yeah,
I
of
mean,
course.
I work for them, so I get the subscriber ones, but I try to buy the newsstand ones too. And one of the writers was like, "Oh, I was looking for that cover," and I was like, "You know what? I'll just send it to you. I don't need two of the same. You know what I mean?" So I
Yeah,
sent it to
yeah.
her. Yeah. So.
Um, so there's two left.
Mhm.
I talked plenty about this already. So I will shut up about it. I've said everything I need to say about this movie, and it's behind you, Longlegs.
Let me in now. Okay. I never see movies more than once in the theaters. And I broke that rule. I mean, like I have, but like I don't usually. And I
Yeah.
broke that rule for a couple movies in the last year. And Longlegs was the most I broke it. I went to see it. I saw an advanced screening. It wasn't the premiere, but and I was out of town for like the secret screening. Then I
Right.
was out of town for the premiere, and I was like, "What the fuck?" But then they had an advanced screening, and I did get to go to that. So I went to that, and I loved it. And I was like, "Okay." And I know I understand like a lot of people do not love it, and that's totally fine. Like
You're
I'm
wrong.
I'm very very big on that movie's just not for me. I hate when people are like, well, that's a bad movie. It's like, no, it's not. It's just not for you. Like, I mean, maybe it is a bad movie, but it's easier. I think it's more diplomatic to say this movie is not for me, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Longlegs, I fucking loved it. I thought it was this nice blend of like the procedural of Silence of the Lambs with like the kind of devilly stuff of say The Exorcist. And it's a little campy, it's a little ridiculous. You cannot tell me he's not doing his best, right? And like, I mean, we will walk around the house and we'll be like, "Mommy, got it." Like even Lita does it, and
Yeah.
she doesn't, she's never seen it. I'm not gonna let her watch that, right? But even she does that, right? So, so I saw that and I loved it. And
Yeah.
then my friend Alex was like, we were already at a movie, and she was like, "Do you want to go see Longlegs after this?" And I was like, "Yes, I do." So we went, and then Fritz and Aiden and his girlfriend at the time, uh, they wanted to see it. So I was like, let's just go again. So we went. So that was the third time I saw it in the theater. And by then I was like looking for like the little Easter eggs, the hidden devils and stuff. And, like I didn't really have to watch it because I'd already watched it. So I absolutely loved this movie. They gave away posters at the Vista screening, and I framed it and it's hanging up. And like, I mean, I have a pile of posters here. I have an Honora one that needs to go up and stuff. But I was like, we have to like prioritize the long legs. It needs to go up. So I genuinely liked it. And the marketing, just the like, I want to see this, and they're like responding to you on Letterboxd in like the cryptograms and stuff. And it's just like, God, their marketing was so fun. Like they had the number you could call, and it was like, and it was just such a fun this is gonna sound crazy, but it actually kind of reminded me of Barbenheimer. Like, Barbenheimer was such an organic thing that happened, born of the internet. You cannot replicate it. And like they try to replicate it with like Baby Ratu, like Baby Girl and Nosferatu, stuff like that, but you can't replicate that. It has to come from the people, right? Or like, you know, a very clever marketing team. Like Barbenheimer was born out of meme culture, and it was so organic and so fun. It was like fun to take part. It was fun to wear pink and dress up and go. It was just fun. So this, I thought they took it a step further, and they just really nailed it with their marketing gimmicks. Like, you can call this number. It reminded me of stuff from the 80s, like call Freddy Krueger, you know what I mean, or 90s. And I just really like had a lot of fun with that. I thought it was just it was so cool to get like a comment on Letterboxd, and you're like, what the fuck does this say? And you had to like, you know, my friend Sarah back in Massachusetts, she made this beautiful Ouija board and it was the sigils, or the, you know, the cryptic, whatever, you know, like the code. And it said Longlegs. And I was like, could you please make me one of those? I will pay you any amount of money. And she was like, you can just have this one. Art is to give away. And when I flew back to Massachusetts, I went to visit her in her new house, and you know, it was just like, she was like, here you go. And I was so fucking touched. And like it's hanging next to the thing, and like next to the poster. I just genuinely loved that movie. I had a lot of fun with it. You know, again, religious iconography, really important to me. I thought Blair Williams was doing great in it. That's his name, right? Oh, Blair Underwood, right? Is that his name?
So I knew who you were talking about. Yeah, he was on. He
was doing fucking. I think he does not get enough credit. He was so good in that movie. He was just funny and like just like, I don't fucking know. I loved it. I thought it was great.
It makes me want to see Oz Perkins' other stuff. I really respected what he did, and it was one of those things where I watched it. I went into it blind, and I watched it and wasn't sure what I felt about it. And then I like read up on it and listened to interviews, and I found out more about, you know, I didn't know a whole lot about Oz Perkins other than, you know, he was the son of Anthony, you know. Then I remembered who he was in like movies that he's been in. He's in a Gary Busey dog movie.
He's in Legally Blonde. He's always around. So,
but like, he's a very serious guy, but he's also very funny, and he had a movie.
Sardonic, I believe, is the word.
And I said this on my Longlegs episode. The only thing I would tell him is, you know, he in some of the press was like, oh, I don't watch modern horror. Like, he's not interested.
Yeah, he got a little snobby here and there.
Yeah. And it's like what I said is like, dude, your contemporaries were inspired by the same movies that you were, and you would enjoy these other movies.
Exactly. I'm very looking forward to the monkey. It looks very fun. So, but like, God, like every time I clean, I'm like a mop, like a rag. Like I see it every time I pick up a rag that does something. I'm just like, oh God, I loved it. I thought it was so good. I just really had a lot of fun with it. Yeah. And what's her name in it that played the mom? Twin Peaks representing.
Oh, Alicia Witt. Yeah.
She just popped up in a Sopranos episode. Aiden has requested that we watch The Sopranos.
Yeah.
So Aiden, for your listeners, is my 20-year-old son. I have a 20-year-old and I have a 5-year-old. And he's like, do you want to watch The Sopranos? And I was like, absolutely, I do. And she's like Christopher's cousin's girlfriend. And of course,
she's a D girl.
And I was just like, oh my God. And I said, Aiden, do you know who that is? I was like, okay, picture her with gray hair bringing dolls into somebody's house. And he's like, oh shit. She was great in it. And she's such like a proponent of it. Like, she's on Twitter like, I loved filming this. Like, she's just so happy. And I'm like, oh, I love this. Absolutely. So yeah, I was a big Longlegs fan and stan, and so I shall remain.
Yes.
Plus, I love T-Rex.
Yeah,
so I was driving around listening to T-Rex for like 3 months.
Absolutely. So it's a movie which the flaws are sort of the point. Like if there's logic jumps, Perkins has said like, duh, it's a movie, who cares?
Yeah. But also, like, there's a lot going on there with, like, the secrets families keep. And, like,
Yeah.
of course, like, if you know anything about his family,
Yeah.
like, it makes sense to be like, okay, like, you can really read into it. Who is missing here? The father, right? And, like,
Right.
let's think about his father and the context there. It's very interesting. I would love to read, like, I would love to read some good essays about it. I do not want to write that essay, though. I want someone else to write it.
Yes.
I am gonna try to revamp my Patreon this year, and like it definitely like fizzled out. I've been very depressed, but I'm like, you know what? I have things I want to write about, like Baby Girl and 6 Feet Under and Clute and stuff. So I'm gonna bring it back, I think, and maybe I will like dive into the Longlegs thing, like eventually, if someone else didn't write it first for me to read.
Well, here's a movie that people have dug into. It's the last one, and to me, it was the most well-made movie of the year, and it was The Substance.
Of course, I'm a big Substance fan and stan as well. So
Yeah, and I think it's horror, and I think it's body horror. I think it counts.
it's definitely body horror. And I'm wishy-washy about my body horror. It has to be under specific parameters.
Right.
But man, I loved that movie.
Yeah, I did too. I didn't get a chance to talk about it on Video of the Damned. I decided to save it for the year-end show. A lot of it is, as a man, I feel like I am not entitled necessarily to wax too poetic about it because of the themes. I think that they speak more towards what women go through in American society and probably other societies. But
Yes.
I can speak to it aesthetically as like a well-made movie. I love just the credits, the titles, the actual text on like the
Monstro, Alisa Zoo.
like it's great. Even like the I don't know what you call it. It's not medicine. What is it? The substance, the
It's
stuff
a
that
substance.
all the notes and the boxes and the warnings, the phone calls. Like I just dug that stuff. I really thought hard about, well, with Maxxxine, it makes sense that she goes to Hollywood and we're making an 80s thriller, Hollywood trashy LA, and it's what Maxxine's character trajectory was. She wanted to be a star. With The Substance, I really like had to sit and question, like, did they have to do this in Hollywood culture? And it's definitely an elevated, like, stereotypical Hollywood, and perhaps even a little bit 80s with like the fitness shows.
Oh,
Like
it's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
And people were getting very like, it doesn't snow in Los Angeles. And I was like, okay, and also like monsters don't come out of your spine. Like, what are you talking about? I think yeah, like it's funny. There's a movie writer I really like. She's a lot younger than me. She's almost 20 years younger than me. And she was like, I didn't like that movie. Ooh, aging is scary. And I was like, okay, you're not even 30. Like you're in your 20s and you're like, you just got a developing frontal lobe.
Right.
Like she's great. I absolutely adore her. And again, like totally cool with agreeing to disagree. You didn't like the movie, that's fine. That doesn't take away from my experience of it. I loved it, right? But also, I think you have to be, I think a 20-something-year-old is not going to get from it what a 40-something-year-old will. Like aging is very hard for me, Like I was a cute young thing that didn't have to try. And now I'm like, oh my God, like I gotta get my retinol. Like, you know what I mean? Like aging is hard. And you know, aging specifically in a niche area where people are looking at you like she is in the movie, she's on TV, she's a famous star, is hard. Like, I mean, look at Emma Stone just cut her hair into a pixie.
Yeah.
And all these things are like, she looks fucking ugly. She looks like a guy. Like, she cut her fucking hair. Why do you care? Right. So I thought like what it was saying about what you will go through and sacrifice in order to be young and beautiful. And as someone who had an eating disorder for a long time, stuff like that, like, I'm like, I identify with this a lot. Like, I understand this. I also identify with being tired a lot. So I'm like, I would do this just so someone else could do my work for 7 days. Like I could sleep for a week. That sounds cool. Right.
Yeah.
But I genuinely loved it. But then it's so funny. I've been covering the Southern California Fangoria booths at conventions, Midsummer
Right.
Scream, all that. So when CreepyCon, the mini CreepyCon happened right as the Substance came out, and I was like talking to people, and my booth mate Daniel, who I love, he hadn't seen it yet, and I kept telling people like, you got to go see it. It just keeps going. So there's a part where you're like, this is crazy. This must be it. No. Then something else happens, and you're like, this is definitely it, right? No. It just fucking keeps going, right? Until you're like, what the fuck? And a few days after the convention, he called me and he was like, I saw the Substance, and I heard you say that to easily 1,000 people this weekend. And I still was like, clearly this has to be it, right? No. It just keeps going. And the fact that it was a movie we saw at AMC with a crowd of normies, like I didn't go to the
Yes.
premiere. The premieres for these types of things here are often at the Arrow in Santa Monica, and the seating there hurts me. Like I have chronic back issues, I'm in chronic pain, and it sets me back big time. Like they are physically painful for me, so I don't usually go. So I just saw it at an AMC, a packed AMC. It was completely sold out, and I was with a row with all my friends. And every single person in that theater, you hear these horror stories. They were locked in. They had their hands under their chins. They were leaning forward. The guy behind me was like, what the fuck? Right. And it was just like, everyone was having the time of their life. Even people that I think didn't really like it. They were still like, what the fuck was that? Right. The fact that we were seeing this on like a Wednesday night at AMC with a normal crowd was shocking to me.
Yeah.
And good for her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for her. I don't know how to say her last name. Carolyn Farrier or whatever.
And good for Demi Moore for winning a Golden Globe for it.
Good for Demi Moore. Good for Margaret Qualley, who, I mean, they were both just bringing it. And it's just so funny, too, because, like, we watched it here on Halloween, and Fritz hadn't seen it. He didn't go with me. And, like, the part when her finger is all janked up,
Yes.
Aiden happened to walk in, and he was like, ew. And I'm like, that is not even, like, the most disgusting thing in this movie. That's, like, the least disgusting thing. Plus, I loved that whenever she called the Substance number, to me, it sounded like that guy was always like about to take a bite out of something.
Yep.
And was just like, what the fuck? Like I just picture this guy with like a big sandwich, and he's like, and she's like, oh, there's been a miss, and he's like, what the, get your shit together. You're the same person. Stop this. I thought that was really funny.
So in the home stretch here, if you were forced to pick a favorite, and I will allow 2 or 3 if you can't go to one, what would you say of all the?
Oh, it's for favorite for the year. I mean, if we were doing a top 3, it would definitely be Longlegs, Substance, Immaculate. But it's hard for me to like tell you where on those 3 they would fall. But
Totally fair.
I honestly think if I'm gonna, it's hard to pick between Longlegs and the Substance. But I think the Substance ekes out a little bit more over Longlegs, even though I love Longlegs and I saw it more. The Substance ekes out only because it fucking goes there and then it goes beyond there.
Yeah.
I love the De Palma references. I love the Kubrick reference. I love all like the little Easter eggs in it. I love what it's saying about like, beauty standards and the commodity and disposability of women. And like, I really just thought it was very, very interesting. And I think it was saying more than Longlegs was saying in a way. It was saying different things, of course, but I think it just did it a little bit better. And just the fact that it just keeps fucking going, man.
Yeah.
Like so I would probably say if a gun to my head, I would say Substance was probably my favorite of the year for sure.
Gotcha.
I mean, if we're talking horror, if we're talking non-horror,
Yeah.
Nora was easily my favorite movie of the year.
Right.
But yeah, horror-wise, Substance across the board. Tens.
I very much found the ones I talked about the most with people was Terrifier, In a Violent Nature, and Longlegs, and then the Substance in there as well. But I talked a lot about Trap as well.
That was so fun.
Yeah, I mean, those are.
What was your favorite though?
Gosh, I mean, I'm to the chagrin of others, Terrifier 3 is like I'm pretty devoted to the franchise.
Yeah,
Uh,
you know what? You were 2 years ago, you were singing its praises. So
yeah,
like you
yeah.
are nothing if you're not consistent.
I I met somebody at a thing who writes about horror, and I could see the expression on their face change when I said I was looking forward to Terrifier 3.
You're like,
And
oh no. But I
you know,
mean,
I invited them onto like the Chamber, which is the interview podcast we're kind of doing. I'm going to probably make this the final episode of. I find it very hard to book
yeah.
guests. And I had actually, there was a actress, producer, writer, director who I really like, who I booked for this, and who just kept pushing the date and then finally not responding at all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't chase people anymore.
Yeah, you know what? I don't that's why I don't write pop culture anymore. I mean,
Yeah,
if I'm writing it for myself, sure, but you know what? I don't want to pitch anything. So when
yeah,
people talk to me about like me at Fango, I'm like, I edit. I
yeah,
don't write. And I was like, I don't want to write. Like if they asked me to do something, I would. Like I'd make it work, but like I just don't want to live that like pitch life. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Of like, oh, I have
yeah,
an idea for something. I can just write that on my own and throw it up on like Patreon or whatever, you know?
yeah.
So, but I
But
get it. Like, I wouldn't want to chase people down to like interview.
yeah,
I mean, you and I are very close friends, so it's like, yeah, come on, that's great.
yeah,
But
for
like,
sure.
I wouldn't want to chase down like people I barely know. Like that would
Oh,
really frustrate me, I think.
and this person who I met is a writer, and you know, not like widely known, and they're writing. I was like, come on the show and
Yeah.
talk about horror stuff with me. That'd be fun. And just like ghosted me completely.
God, I love
Like,
going on any show.
because I said I liked Terrifier.
Yeah,
I
I don't
know
know.
that's what it
People
is.
need to learn how to have a little more fun, I think, too. People are so serious about what they like, and it's like, allow
Yeah.
yourself the joy of watching Art the Clown chainsaw guy's butt in half.
Yeah,
Don't
totally.
take yourself so seriously.
Yeah. That's why Longlegs for me hit a very good sweet spot between the serious and the silly.
Because it's very campy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that part when he's in that part when he goes to like the like hardware store and the girl's like,
Yes.
what the fuck? Like that part is so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weird guy's back. I love it. That was Oz Perkins' daughter.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for
So
that.
she like literally was calling for her dad, which is kind of cute.
Oh. Any you mentioned the monkey, any I don't really know what else is coming out this year.
There's okay, so my friend Alex and I, she wanted to go see The Damned, which is like kind of looks like a creepy sort of like Salem Mass-ish thing.
Okay.
I'm like, sure, I'll go see that. That's fine. The Wolfman looks very good to me. I'd like to see that. I like Lee Winnell. I liked the not Hollow Man, but in The Invisible Man.
Okay.
It was Hollow Man at one point with Kevin Bacon, but I do want to see that. And I always feel like I blank when I am like, oh, what are you looking forward to? Because I'm like, I know that there's like a million movies coming out, and I'm like, that looks kind of cool. But like then when I'm asked, it just disappears from my head.
Oh,
Monkey, I
yeah.
definitely want to see. Oh, Heart Eyes, I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
The writer of Freaky did
Uh,
that, and I love Freaky. So that looks fun. It's like a Valentine's Day slasher, which I think will be kind of fun.
nice.
Plus I always think like Hard Eyes, motherfucker, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's one of my favorites as
yeah.
well.
So that looks pretty good. So I think like, you know, first quarter of the year, those are like the ones I'm kind of looking forward to. And then we'll just see as they start announcing more stuff.
Yeah.
Not I know that they're filming Scream now, but of course Scream is not for me, so I will not be partaking in the Scream nonsense. But
Megan 2.0?
what's that?
What about Megan 2.0?
Oh, I'll go see that. I loved Megan.
Okay,
God, what
good.
a fun what a fun movie that was. I'm looking forward to that. That'll be I love a
Uh,
fun movie.
David Howard Thornton as a demented Mickey Mouse in Screamboat.
Shit, he's gonna be the guy in that? I didn't know
Yes.
that. Why not? I'll watch it. Who cares? I didn't watch the Winnie the Pooh stuff. That kind of stuff is usually not for me, but
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
if he's in it, I'll watch it. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah.
Well, he did a really great Grinch take in the Mean One, and that's another one that's just super silly.
Yeah. I didn't see
Uh,
that, but I have heard that that's a silly one. So, yeah, we'll see, you know. There's so much. It's like hard to keep track sometimes.
a couple more I'll mention. Maggie Gyllenhaal's The Bride, which is her Bride of Frankenstein remake.
That's right. I forgot about that. I'll see that. I like her. So I'd
Yeah,
like to see what she does with that.
same. Guillermo del Toro's doing a Frankenstein as well.
Shit, yes, I did know about that. Oh, he's great. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Like, has he ever made a bad movie? No.
And
He's
then
a great guy.
oddly enough, there's going to be like a 28 years later, Quiet Place Part 3, another Hell House, another Saw, another Thanksgiving 2, The Black Phone 2. It's going to be like the
I
year.
see. Okay, here. Black Phone 2, don't see the point. Black Phone was so perfect to me.
Yeah.
We did that this March. It was a March miss. Like we had missed it. So we watched it. And I was like,
Yeah.
shit, this movie rules, right? I don't see
Yeah.
why we have to have a second one of that. It was perfect the way it was.
Yeah.
Wait, what else did you just say? Because there's one that you said, and then it like it went
Thanksgiving
away.
2.
No.
Um,
Not an Eli Roth fan.
they're going to do like the final Conjuring movie, the final Insidious movie.
Yeah, but you said something. List them off again real quick.
Yeah, it was. I know it was. It was A Quiet Place, which I haven't seen any.
Oh no, it was 28 years
28 years
later.
later.
The trailer for that using Boots, the poem Boots. Have you seen the trailer for 28 Years Later?
Not yet, but I heard it was a great trailer.
So it uses a 1915 recording of Rudyard Kipling's Boots, which is a poem about World War I. And it's definitely something I learned about in college and stuff, how like, you know, the use of like cadence and stuff. And, you know, it was about how the repetition of the boots marching and not knowing where you're going was what ultimately drove people mad. And of course, that recording is used in like special ops training to like break people down because it's like on a loop, and it's from 1915, so it sounds horrifying. And of course the actor it was an actor, a British actor, reading it, and as he reads it he becomes more unhinged sounding because it's supposed to be driving him crazy. The most effective use of like a poem in a trailer I've ever seen in my life. I was like, this is so fucking creepy. I think I'm not a big 28 Weeks Later fan, but 28 Days Later is like up there, high echelon of like horror, like specifically, wow, like look at what they did with this, right? And so based on the trailer alone, I'm like, okay, you've got me just based on like their use of boots. But I would definitely check it out because I saw it when we went to see Nosferatu. They played that trailer before the movie, and like even like on the big screen like that, it was even more creepy. I was like, But I keep walking around the house going, boots, boots, boots. Even Lita says it. So I am looking forward to. I will check that one out. I'll definitely check that out for sure.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Didn't even have time to talk about Madam Web, which is not a horror movie, but
I didn't see it except for the clips people would show.
My most fun.
I saw recently one where it was like she just like struggles to open a Pepsi can through the whole movie, like. And they're like, why can't she open this? And I'm like, I don't know. This seems like the best movie of all time, if you ask me.
It really is. And it's got Sydney Sweeney.
So. Okay, perfect. Why not? Right. Thank you so much for having me on again.
Of course. Thank you.
I love being on podcasts.
It's the only reason I keep doing the show is for our year-end chats.
Movies from Hell recently messaged me and said, do you want to come on and talk about not Tommy, they want me to talk about Crimes of Passion? And I was like, yes, of course. So if anyone's listening and wants me to come on a podcast for some reason, hit me up. So
I might have to hit you up soon for some giallo, because I'm definitely going to ease into giallo January now. So
oh my gosh, yes. Did I send you our watch list? Did you see it?
First I did. Yes.
It. Okay.
Yes, and I have a really fun Cinematic Void event coming up this weekend.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. I don't know if Jim will be there or not, but the Giallo January stuff, the January Giallo has swept the nation, and it's so worthwhile. And I will come talk to you about Giallos any day. Perfect. Any day. We're like neck deep in it over here.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you, Kolleen.
Thank you.